In the year 64 AD, a fire breaks out in Rome. And not just any fire, it's real bad, okay? It rages for days. Whole neighborhoods burn to the ground. People are homeless. Businesses are destroyed. It was bad. Many say that Nero was out of town at the time of the fire and had nothing to do with it, but still rumors started circulating. People were saying that he actually set the fires. Others said that it was all just like some kind of scheme to make room for a new palace. Some even said that Nero played the fiddle on his roof and watched the city burn. You know, it's like those, I'm thinking of those emo songs. Was that? Never mind. Or that Usher song, Let It Burn, Let It Burn. Either way, his reputation was on the line. People wanted someone to blame for all the destruction, the chaos, all of it. And Nero sure as hell didn't want it to be him, so he needed a scapegoat. So he's looking around who can I blame? I killed everyone that I could blame this on. You. He picks this newish religious group at the time, and they were considered kind of weird to the Roman public, the Christians. He was like, I'm gonna blame it on you. He blames the whole fire on them. He even starts rounding up anyone who claimed to be Christian, and he tortured them, and he burned them alive. And he ended up turning this mass murder into a show. He would round up anyone who considered themselves to be a Christian. He forced them into a giant arena, and then he released wild animals into the arena to eat them, attack them. You know, it wasn't great. It was brutal. Some records say that at least 900 people were killed by Nero at this time. Nero had a very short fuse and was violent with just about everyone. You know, he just wanted an excuse to kill, I guess. I'm not sure. Including his second wife, Papaya. Well, it was said that the next year, it started off cute, but Nero started to show his true self. He lost his temper. It was said that he kicked Papaya in the stomach, and at that time she was pregnant. So he kicks her in the stomach, and a few days later, she ends up dying. What kind of kick was that? Oh my God. So he kills her. But I don't think that was his goal. I think he just really was wanted to hurt her, right? So when she did die, he was actually really upset about it. He was devastated. Yeah, you little shit. So he embalmed her body with rare spices. He gave her a lavish funeral, and it was said that he was just a total wreck afterwards. Well, maybe you shouldn't have try and kill your wife. I don't know, just a lot. So he's really upset. Time is going on. People around him are starting to get worried because he couldn't move past Papaya's death. They're like, bro, get it together. Everyone dies here. They don't even last 20 years if they're lucky. It doesn't matter. It was the love of his life. So what does he do? What am I to do? What am I to do? Well, at this time, Nero, he looks around and he finds a young boy named Sporus. Now, at this time, Sporus was a slave, probably a younger teenager, but if Nero squinted his eyes, he was like, you kind of look like Papaya. It's crazy. According to Nero, this little boy looked a lot like Papaya. Oh, he's like, whoa, I'm in love. She's still alive. So this is where he kind of takes it up a notch. Well, he's taken it up a lot of notches, but this is another notch that is up. He decides to have Sporus castrated. Yeah, he makes him into a eunuch. I'm not making this up. This sounds fake, but it's real. He gives Sporus makeup, dresses, and whatever else he needs to look exactly like his dead wife. Yeah. Then, in a full-on public ceremony, Nero marries him. Yeah, they actually get married. Nero instructed the wedding to be treated as a real Roman marriage ceremony, complete with a public celebration, Nero as the groom, and Sporus dressed as his Roman bride, in a veil, a gown, all of it. I know. I would like to hear Sporus' side of the story here. Poor kid. What the hell? From that point on, Nero takes Sporus with him everywhere. They're married. That's his wife. and you will not question anything about it. That is his wife. So Sporus came with him to public events, sat next to Nero at banquets, traveled with him, and appeared at ceremonies in full looks, you know? Everyone was told to call Sporus Sabina, after Papaya, her last name Sabina, and you had to refer to him as Nero's wife, because if you didn't, I'll kill you. So once again, the theme of Nero's life was like, no one told him no. So this whole thing kind of works for a little bit. I don't know how, but it does. You know, at the end of the day, it was like a Band-Aid over his pain. But as Nero settles into his life with his new wife, his paranoia starts to bubble up. Nero starts to think that everyone was plotting against him. So he does what any unstable emperor might do. He starts purging. He gets rid of senators, generals, former allies. Anyone who looked at him funny or anything was accused of treason and then violently executed. Then Nero starts seizing property. He starts hiking up taxes. He starts going after rich families. And people start wondering, is he good? Is this guy even fit to rule? Yeah, once you start messing with the rich families, huh? That's when people start to question it. Not all the murders and all that, no. Well, even his friends. Oh, he had friends? Good to know. Even those closest to him. Some he would call his friends. They start to turn on him. So, finally, in the year 68 AD, someone decides to do something. A politician named Julius Windex decides enough is enough. I know Windex. I was like, I love that window cleaner. It's so good. Right? His name is Windex, named after him. It's not, but I like to think it is. It kind of is when you think about it, because this Windex guy, he comes in and calls Nero out and cleans up his mess. Like the window cleaner. Okay. But this Windex guy puts his neck on the line and publicly declares that Nero is a disgrace to Rome, which no one did at this time, okay? So this guy was brave. People were like, you really want to do that? Okay, all right. And Mr. Windex, he publicly nominates another politician to take over the throne. So the Senate agrees with Mr. Windex and makes a huge move. They declare Nero a public enemy. Now, essentially, when someone declares you a public enemy, you're done. Anyone can kill you, no questions asked. When Nero hears this, he realizes his time is up. So a few of his servants, and I'm assuming his lover, they're hiding out in a villa on the outskirts of Rome. Morale is low, okay? Nero is asking his servants if he should flee to the east, maybe start a new career. You know, he could dye his hair. He could be an actor. He can get a flute and play the flute. I could just well, I don't know. What do I do, you know? But at this point, no one really, everyone's like, dude, it's over. And then they get a message. The Senate has officially ordered Nero's execution. They were planning to take Nero in public, strip him naked, and beat him to death. The Senate soldiers were on their way. So Nero is having dinner when he hears this news, and he absolutely loses it. I mean, he crashes out completely. He ripped up the bad news scrolls. He flips the table. He smashed his 2 favorite cups. Everyone kind of low-key expected him to end his life. It was seen as the honorable way out of a terrible situation this time in Rome, especially because he'd already been given a death sentence. So they're like, oh, he's probably just gonna Epstein himself. But things got pretty awkward because Nero, he didn't want to die. He's like his mom. In the middle of the night, Nero, he wakes up and realizes that he is alone. Everyone had left. His guards, his friends, his lover, his servants, and the walls were closing in. You know, he's feeling desperate. So Nero starts running around the villa screaming that he needs someone to volunteer to kill him because he didn't want to do it himself. Apparently he screamed, "Have I neither friend nor foe?" No, Nero, none. You have friend nor foe. I love that someone was around to write this down, this quote, but didn't volunteer. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill someone. No, but I'll write down this quote. Iconic. Okay, so no one wants to kill him, and he doesn't want to do it himself. He doesn't want to. He's scared. So Nero is alone, and he hears the soldiers coming. It's all dramatic, right? And then it's said that he quoted Homer very dramatically and goes, "The sound of swift horses strikes my ears." I imagine that's how he said it. And then he takes like a knife and he stabs himself in the neck. What's funny is that at the exact moment that he stabbed himself, a Roman guard had busted in and was like, "Wait, I'm here to save you." But it was too late. He's like, "Oh shit. Oh. Yeah." Apparently, Nero's last words were, "What an artist dies in me." Ugh. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. He should have asked for forgiveness, okay? When Nero died, he was 30 years old, and he was the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, which was basically the first royal family of Rome. It ended the dynasty of Caesar and Caligula and tons of other famous emperors. It was over. It was done.